Get ready to pretend to wail as we're about to look at funerals, and more specifically having a funeral using the Life and Death expansion pack. And while I hate to start out this video by being morbid, you're going to need a recently deceased sim for this and someone who knows them that'll be able to throw them the funeral. Note that you can hold a funeral for sims who've become playable ghosts, but that these playable ghosts can't organize their own funeral. Rather, they'll need someone they know to do it. Ghost sims will also often attend their own funeral as well, which can be fun. When you're ready, simply use the social section of your sim's phone to plan a funeral, or alternatively plan a social event before selecting funeral. You can also click on a sim's urn or gravestone and select plan funeral, and when doing this, the sim who's passed away will automatically be placed in the departed sim role. When hosting a funeral event, you'll automatically fill the role of host, and if it's not pre-filled, then you'll want to select one departed sim that you'll be hosting the funeral for. Then you can have up to 8 invited guests, up to 4 hired mourners which cost 100 simoleons to hire each, and up to 1 entertainer who costs 250 simoleons to hire, although having hired mourners and entertainers isn't required for the event. You'll then want to choose whether or not you want to have a specific guest attire, with there being a range of different styles that you can make attendees conform to, and you can also choose whether you want sims to arrive in a particular color. For example, if you wanted all the guests to arrive in black or even pink. If nothing is selected, then sims will arrive in their formal wear. Do note that should you choose a specific style or color, then it can be a bit of a towny fashion roulette. So keep in mind the risk of this leading to some fashion disasters. Now the next step of funeral planning is selecting activities, and you'll need to choose at least 3 of the 14 on offer. You can choose as many of the 14 as you like, and they'll determine which event goals appear for your funeral. If you're aiming to have a gold rated event, know that you'll want to select at least 7 of these activities, as completing 7 of them is the main goal for a funeral event. I will flag though that sometimes during funerals the main goal just progressed or completed even without ticking off activities, so it is a little buggy, though thankfully not in an event-breaking way. Also, with this being said, know that there are no rewards for having a bronze, silver, or gold rated event, so really choose whatever best fits the kind of funeral that you want to have. If you're stuck on which you should choose, then don't worry, because we're about to quickly go through all 14 of them. Firstly, there's giving a normal eulogy, a light-hearted eulogy, and a mournful eulogy. Eulogies can be actioned from the funeral section of a departed sim's grave, and additionally they can also be done by clicking on a podium object too. A eulogy can take a little while for a sim to give, and other sims in attendance will often automatically sit down to listen to your sim's eulogy, which is nice. Anecdotally, I've found that sims tend to sit and listen a lot better when using a podium to deliver a eulogy as opposed to the urn, and also know that giving a light-hearted or mournful eulogy will both complete the more basic give a eulogy activity. A quick side note is that when hosting, often the deceased sim's grave will automatically appear in the host sim's personal inventory, so if in doubt, look for it there. Then there's the activities of lighting candles, having a moment of silence, and mourning the deceased. All 3 of these activities can be actioned once again from the funeral section of a deceased sim's urn or grave, and choosing to weep or pretend to wail will also count as mourning. Now you might want a stereo to play some music at your funeral, as this will have you covered if you select the listen to music or the dancing activities. You might also want to have a playable instrument on the lot or in your inventory, as practicing or playing a song on an instrument is another potential activity. Another activity is to serve food. Bringing pre-made food to the lot and eating it will complete this, as will cooking up and serving food on the lot. You can also use banquet tables if you have access to them from the My Wedding Stories, High School Years, and Luxury Party stuff packs, as serving food on these is super easy and will count towards the activity. Then there's giving toasts. This is actually actioned from the funeral section of a sim's urn or grave, which did surprise me. I did also test having a toast with the toasting celebration bucket from My Wedding Stories, and notably this didn't work in completing the activity. Then there's the activity to plant something, and for this you'll simply need to grab a plant, pop it on the ground or in a garden pot or planter, and then choose to to plant it. And finally, we have using Ghost Mastery for good and Ghost Mastery for evil. You should only pick these if you have access to a ghost sim or a sim you can temporarily turn into a ghost that can use either good or evil abilities, depending on which you choose. To complete the Ghost Mastery for good, you'll need to use comforting or helpful Ghost Mastery abilities, such as using Solace Embrace. Then to complete Ghost Mastery for evil, you'll need to use Scare or Chaos Ghost abilities such as Conjuring Material or using a Haunting Shriek. Once you've chosen the activities you're interested in, you'll then want to choose a location for your funeral event. When picking a location, it'll make hosting a bit easier if you choose a lot that has a podium, a stereo, a playable instrument, a kitchen or banquet table, and a garden pot or planter box that can be used to plant something. Though you can just plant something straight into the ground too. This being said, there are additional objects that can add a lot to a funeral, such as a memorial display and memorial wreath, and potentially even a memorial cannon. These can all help to honor the dead and even just add a bit of spark to the occasion. Additionally, memorial caskets and grave sites are good options for a funeral too, especially if you host it at a cemetery and plan on leaving the grave behind there afterwards. Also know that on some caskets you'll be able to place either a funerary drape or a flower spray tribute. Again, as there are no benefits to making the event gold rated, just make the funeral what you want it to be. And also know that you can use a calendar to schedule a funeral event to take place in the future. As a final note, sometimes the Grim Reaper can show up at your funerals too. I know, pretty cute. That's everything there is to know about having a funeral event in The Sims 4 with the Life and Death expansion pack. If you enjoyed or found this helpful, then consider subscribing if you'd like to, and I hope you have an amazing day. See you later!